Good evening, Des Moines. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program here on WebcastOneLive.com studios, coming to you on this fine Tuesday in Des Moines, Iowa, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. The well-ventilated, well-AC'd, and comfortable downtown studios here in Des Moines. We are very pleased to welcome our special guest, Joe Grandanette. But first, with me as always, doing the thing that needs to be done, Dr. Pat Petrosh. How's it going, buddy?
Doing well. I just rolled in. I got stuck with all the construction over in my neighborhood. Oh, it's insane over in my neighborhood.
I
have to go up to Douglas and over to 22nd in order to be able to get down to the interstate.
And it's both those north side, east-west corridor. Hickman, Douglas, and Euclid over by where I am are just torn up all over the place.
Oh, yeah, mine's blocked.
Yours is blocked now?
Oh, yeah, it's blocked. I mean, they shut off 72nd Street, 70th Street. And, of course, Hickman is all torn up because of the bridge. So I have to go up north a mile to Douglas, go over a mile to 86, and then go the long stretch all the way down to 235.
Well, we'll call you the roving radio host then, I guess.
The roving eye in the sky.
Yeah, something like that, sure.
So we got a special guest, Joe Grandanette, a candidate for Congress, in with us today. And of course, it's going to convention.
Yep.
And they're debating whether it's going to be this week or next week. So I'm glad Joe was able to join us because I'm sure he's busy. So Joe, tell us what you've been up to since we talked to you last month or so ago?
Oh, lots, Pat. Taking care of my little baby daughter, Rosina, and my wife, and of course, running for Congress, yes.
Yes. Well, that's why you have. Are you still running for Congress? Or
absolutely.
Did you decide, all right, I'm
absolutely.
just double checking. I thought to myself, oh my goodness.
Well, I'd give my wife and daughter a plug here.
You bet.
Hey, they were on the campaign trail and got me a couple votes.
Oh, good. That's terrific.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about it going to a convention? What did you think it should be in a runoff format, or do you think it's convention?
Well,
is that the way it should be?
This is the way it is, but I don't think it's not a good way to do it. They should take the top two and have a runoff. This is all political now. A lot of things under the table, and a lot of people going after each other, and so forth and so on. So this is the way it is. This is what they decided to do. And, hey, I got a shot at it. I'm the long shot, and I'm everybody's second pick. So if they just dump a couple people off there, I'll be the number one pick.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we talked the whole time about how we thought Mr. G was winning in the sign wars.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the best placement of anybody.
Yes, I agree.
Your signs were visible, right out there. There's a lot of places where you'd have Jacobs, Ernst, Kramer, Zahn, all stacked up on one on top of each other. But when it was Mr. G, it was by itself.
I agree. I have my supporters. I still have my supporters.
Well, speaking of your supporters,
yes.
Joe, where do you think in the district your particular message resonated the most?
Well, I'm not sure. I had limited amount of money that I raised, and so and I didn't raise any money. They gave me the money,
right?
And so I just did what I could do, driving around, meeting as many people.
Well, you put the shoe leather, and that's kind of the point of the question,
right? All my opponents raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for the amount of money that I received, I got the best bang for my buck, and so. I was happy with my candidacy. I spoke the truth. That's what people want to hear. Mm-hmm. I'm still in it. You know what? Anything can happen in a convention because a lot of my opponents have baggage, and of course, that's going to keep them from probably getting to be the nominee. And so here I am, Joe Grandanette, Mr. G, Coach G, the PE teacher, still got a shot at it, and I'm ready to serve on day one.
I wanted to ask you a couple of, you mentioned some of the baggage, and I was wondering, and if you want to decline to answer some of these questions, that's fine, because I don't want to put you on the spot, and I certainly don't want to throw any gasoline on what could be a contentious convention. I think most of the candidates that I've heard have said that it's not going to be, but you never know. But are you surprised that some of the numbers and of votes in this turnout was very, very low, very low? But I was surprised that after the beating Matt Schultz took, he was still as close as he was to Brad Zahn, who's the top vote getter. Were you surprised at some of the numbers as they shook out?
Well, no, not really. They all spent about the same amount of money, and they all showed up to the debates, other than a couple times. Some people didn't show up. I was there at all the debates, and they were all going after the same voters, and so they split up all the votes. And they, whether it be the religious vote or the Tea Party vote or the GOP vote, they're all all these people are insiders, other than myself, and they all knew each other before they ran for office. And so in turn, they're all going after each other. That's why it was so close at the end there. So, they just split up all the votes.
You've run for office before, though, so you know some of these guys.
Right. Well, no, not really. The only person I had met before was I had met Brad before, and I met the Secretary of State because I helped Rick Santorum before. But I never knew any of these other people before. No, I didn't.
Another thought that crossed my mind was I went out and voted in the Democratic primary last week, which was very, very thrilling. None of the Democrats had primaries, so I was filling in bubbles for nobody, really. Right. So I tossed it out there, but I think I don't remember. I think I mentioned this to you, but I can't remember if I did or not. My little sector, my little area up there, northeast of Birdland, has about, and I think that the ladies at the polling place told me, because I went up to the Mount Olive Church on 2nd Avenue, if you know,
I know where it's at.
That neighborhood. About 1134, and you might know these numbers better than me. I think of 1,134 registered voters, both parties, because obviously it's a closed primary. The independents don't get to vote. I got there a little after 8, like 8:05, and I was the 75th ballot cast at that polling station. The 75th total, both parties. Are you surprised at how low the turnout was?
No, it's been like this ever since I started running for office 20 years ago. People aren't involved. It's awful too. The fact that they don't go out there and vote. When my dad fought in World War II to defend our country, for the people the right to vote, Abraham Lincoln, we fought a civil war. 620,000 soldiers of our country died to keep our country sovereign, and people don't vote. They don't understand what they need to do and do their civic duty and get involved. And they're and a lot of people, they're the first ones to complain that they don't have representation. Well, here I am, the common man that you can trust to tell the truth. I'm the populist candidate, like one guy told me 7 months ago. Here I am, and I would represent they would have a voice, and they don't get out and vote, which is a shame. Because look at our country right now; we're in a crisis right now, and for the people that need us the most, they vote the least.
What do you have any ideas or any thoughts about how you would increase kind of the energy or voter turnout or any of the interest in this process?
Well, here I started this 7 months ago myself, and of course, nobody wanted to interview me. I got a little interview in November when I challenged Mr. Latham, and then he resigned. And since then, I didn't have anybody interview me or want to interview me up until 3 weeks ago when the Des Moines Register. Nobody asked me to be on a talk show. I tried to get on a talk show other than yours, I will say. And you know what? Nobody addresses the candidates and gets them out there in the face of the people, then of course they don't know anybody, because I'm the common man. The rest of the guys are insiders, so they might not know anybody. They know there are only few people that they do know. But if you have a candidate like myself, you need to have exposure in that way. Oh, I know Mr. G. I know Coach G. I know the guy. Oh yeah, he ran this store. So if my name's not out there in the public eye, a lot of people to this day still don't know that I ran for office because they're not involved. So.
Sure. All right, we're with special guest Joe Grandanette, congressional candidate for Iowa's 3rd District. It's going to be going to a convention. Please stay with us. After we get back from the break, we're going to ask Joe what he plans to do to garner some votes from the delegates at the upcoming GOP convention. We'll be back right after this break. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray, we're saved! Super Credit, you're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're sitting here with, thanks for listening to the first segment. We're sitting here for the first half hour with candidate for the 3rd District Republican primary, Joe Grandanette. He's a physical education and at Urbandale High School, physical education teacher and a coach at Urbandale High School.
Windsor Elementary.
Oh, Windsor.
Windsor Elementary.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I thought you were in Urbandale. My mistake. Thank you for correcting me. And ran a fairly successful, I would say very successful, supplement shop in the Seven Flags building there in Clive for about, 10 years?
14 years.
14 years. 14 years. So, see, all of my research out the window because everything that I read and as in zero was wrong.
Technically, I was there 8 years at Seven Flags and 6 years at Fitness World West.
The same business though.
Yeah, the same business, yes.
And I know that Pat really wanted to pick your brain about your convention strategy.
Yeah, I mean, Joe hit it on the head. There's a lot of guys out there with baggage, and it really doesn't matter who you're talking about. Even the establishment candidate, I'm sure they're going to dig up baggage, just like they did on Mitt Romney. You know, first when the Obama campaign said, well, we're going to attack Mitt Romney and attack his character, I was thinking to myself, Mitt's been married to the same gal for years, you know, has a bunch of, kids, lives a conservative lifestyle. And you know what? They pulled it off. They pulled off smearing Mitt Romney, a guy who's lived the life of a saint. And so I'm sitting here thinking, well, geez, they're going to be smearing whoever gets up there. Now, one of the things that we have is it's going to convention now. If any of you are unfamiliar with what that means, what it means is in Iowa, you have to have 35% of the vote in order to have the GOP declare you as their candidate. I believe it's the same on the Democratic side. Isn't that
I believe
right,
that is true.
And what happened is everybody got the 35% except for the 3rd Congressional District. And really, analyzing the numbers and everything else that came out, Brad Zahn had a commanding lead going in, but 50% of the votes were still undecided. I think technically it was 48% undecided. And the problem is everybody broke for different candidates. And the truth of the matter is they didn't break for Brad Zahn. They broke for the other candidates is who they broke for. So Brad still wound up winning on the strength of his candidacy, but he didn't get the 35%. So now it goes to convention. And what a convention is if any of you guys are wrestling fans and ever have watched a Royal Rumble, where they're in the middle of this big old cage match and they have these wire cages 20 feet high, and the only rule is whoever crawls out wins. That's what this convention is like. Steve King came out victorious in his convention, and nobody thought he had a shot. Nobody thought he had a shot when this all happened. And the trick is you have to have a strategy. You have to have the delegates vote for you. There's a lot of discussion among the Republicans about moving it from the 21st, which is when it's supposed to happen, back to the 14th, in conjunction with another convention that all the delegates are supposed to be going to, so that they won't have to come back to Des Moines 2 weekends in a row. The problem is there's all kinds of conversation. If the delegates don't show up, does that benefit Monty Shaw, who's the establishment choice? Does it benefit Brad Zahn, because all of his delegates obviously would be here? Would a dark horse candidate like Joe suddenly develop, become the winner because of all the different things that go on? And there really aren't any rules to it. It's whoever can get the delegates. Now, the Republicans have you vote, and then at the end, they drop off the last one that votes and everybody revotes. The Democrats have this system of complete chaos where everybody stands in a corner or part of the room, and then they'll shift, and they'll say, is everybody sure? And then everybody will run around, do different things, and they take another count. Is everybody sure that it's really chaotic?
You know what the caucus is? Because
yeah, but they do their convention the same way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun.
Well, it's insane is what it is. I mean, you could you could spontaneously split into 3 or 4 little lefties and vote 4 different ways.
It was awesome. When I caucused in 2008, I caucused for Hillary, and I got in the face of an Obama supporter who I seriously did, who was talking about some of the things that Obama stood for, and I said that sounds a lot like Mitt Romney. I remember having that conversation. I thought the guy was gonna rough me up, not literally rough me up, but he got really upset.
Mad.
Yeah,
you can handle it.
So yes, Lefty. If anybody can handle a verbal confration, it would be Lefty.
The litigator. Don't go up against the litigator.
Well, I wasn't a litigator at the time.
Oh, okay.
No, he was just a bartender.
Yep.
driving the bubble machine.
But don't go up against a bartender in a verbal altercation
either. Yeah. All right, Joe. So what's going to be your strategy going into the convention? Because I have heard that they're pushing hard to make the convention this weekend instead of next weekend.
Oh, that's already been set.
But they're trying to change it. You think it's been set right now?
Oh, it's already been set. I got a letter. The 21st. They talked to me, called me Sunday.
All right,
21st. Out of Des Moines Christian, 10 o'clock.
All right. So what's going to be your strategy besides contacting all the delegates?
Well, it depends on where I talk. I'll be real honest with you. I don't know how they're going to do this. But if I'm first, it'll be a little different than if I'm last. Or one of the last speakers because I'll be taking notes what everybody else is saying. Because in the debates, I write when we had forums, and they were only one time did we really have a debate. We couldn't go back and forth. So you have to. I'm writing as we speak. I'm writing my speech. I have you get 2 minutes.
All right.
And so I have a strategy, but. I'm going to hold it close to the vest.
You're going to play close to the vest. Oh, that's smart. So do you plan to contact the delegates before the convention?
I got another phone call today. Next week, there's a lot of different places you can go, and the counties are having delegates all get together. Then they want the candidates come down and talk to them. So I got to call one back tonight, and I got to call a couple of people tomorrow. And so they want us to get reintroduced. Of course, I have not met all the delegates. I spoke at the convention at Bud Stewart here 6 weeks ago or so forth. Mm-hmm. And I've been to most of the delegates, the county delegates' seats. I've been there other than a few counties I didn't get to because every time I wanted to get out, it was so cold or a snowstorm or something happened. They'd have it on a Thursday. I got snowed out, and so I couldn't make it. But, this is a pretty exciting time. And I have a shot at this because I'm second, we can, and I think the speeches will make a difference, and I think the integrity makes a difference, and I think trust makes a difference, and honor makes a difference, and that's what I'm all about.
All right. So do you think there are some candidates that are a little less honorable than others?
Well, it's been noted in the newspaper, so
Sure.
Maybe they'll just say, Grandanette's the man, and that's what that. You know what? Listen, we can't. Grandanette's a winner, and I will tell you right now, and I've said this before. I win in a landslide in November because I'm from Des Moines, and a lot of people know me, and I've run before in Des Moines, and people will vote for me, and it won't be close.
All right. Well, we're going to be back with Joe Grandanette. We're going to get some further thoughts from him. We'll have some just breaking news within the last minute or so that we're going to touch on a little bit, and we're going to see what Joe's take is on it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back right after this break.
Petrosh & Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosh & Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Hey, what's wrong?
Logan wants Let's Rock Elmo for his birthday, but since Steve lost his job, I don't think we can afford it. What did you do for money last year when you and John were struggling to make ends meet?
My secret? I went to Me and Mommy to Be. We sold all of Megan and Ryan's clothes and toys there. They give back the highest percentage on their items in the area, and it was so easy.
Megan's clothes? She's 15.
Yes, they can sign newborn through trendy teens. We're not struggling now, but I'm going to keep saving and making money at Me and Mommy to Be.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We've got Joe Grandanette, candidate in the Republican primary for the 3rd District here in that covers Polk County and all points south and west. We've got a convention coming up, and I spaced on when you guys were talking about when the date was. We don't have a date picked. that's
no, 21st.
It's the 21st. See,
it is
this
the 21st.
This is what happens when you're thinking about your next question. We only got you for another few minutes, so I wanted to ask you a question that's been kind of on my mind for the past couple of weeks, and at least since we had you on. One of the advantages, or one of the features of a primary anyway, is that candidates' positions can sometimes influence other candidates, and the message can kind of bleed over into other candidates' stump speeches and messages and things. And you have a particular populist, people-centric message that you've been trying to kind of push out. Have you seen any of the folks like the people that got more votes, like the Brad Zahns,
steal my
Schultz's?
message?
Exactly.
Yes,
you have.
Everybody has told me after every debate what they say. They've heard me. They steal my lines, which is and that's true, and they have. So I've said
I had the same problem.
Yeah, you know what? First of all, I'm pretty good off the stump, and they've stole my lines, and they've stole my message. And they know who they are. All the candidates know who they are. That when I would say something that I had done with my life and so forth and so on, or where I lived from Des Moines, I was the only candidate from Des Moines and born and raised in Des Moines. Well, a couple of the candidates, one of the candidates says he's from the Des Moines area, and I called the register on it because of course he wants to pretend that he's an urban candidate. Well, he wasn't an urban candidate, and so and my message. With my diversity, that's what I'll bring to the Republican Party. A lot of people try to do that also with something they had done in their life or whatever. But I lived a life of diversity, so I don't have to make up something that I did. But I lived a life of diversity, and I will bring them under the party of the Republican Party. And I think that's what we need as a Republican Party, because the fact that these people can trust me because of the man I am and the person I am, Joe the man, not Joe the candidate, because they know Joe the man, that they will like Joe the candidate. They might not like everything on political issues, but they just know that I will do a good job and represent them. They might like a couple of my issues, and I can bring them along the way, and also have them vote for me. And that's why I'm considered a viable candidate in the general election. I know that I will be very successful in the November because of that. Also, I'm a PE teacher. Sometimes, Joe, you're not a very good public speaker, and sometimes, hey, listen, I don't do this for a living. The rest of the guys one's a lawyer. These guys are all in front of the camera all the time. They give speeches all the time. I'm in front of elementary students and ball players, and so I'm not as elegant as everybody else that speaks. I just speak from the heart. And I tell the truth and try to get people to understand the issues, and so I am who I am, and.
The other thing is you don't need to be a great public speaker to be able to hold office. I mean, the worst public speaker I know is Terry Branstad.
Right.
And I say that with all the respect and love that I have for the guy, because he really is, I believe, a wonderful governor, one of the best we've had in the history of Iowa. But honest to goodness, listening to do a stump speech is about like listening to me say just that a minute ago. You know,
it can be kind of tough.
It can be a little bit tough.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what tell us a couple of stories from the people you met out there on the campaign trail. Do you have any good stories from meeting all these people?
Well, I was at church. I was at church Sunday. One of my old ball players at East High. I was a sophomore basketball coach at East High for 5 years, freshman basketball coach, and his name was Pat. And I hadn't seen him for 20 years. And he wrote, and he says, "Hi, Coach. Hi, Coach G." And he looked at me. I looked at him. And he knew who I was. And I says, "Pat." I says, "Yeah, hey, Pat, how are you?" He says, "You remember me?" I sure do. You wrote me a letter. You wrote me a letter, Pat, didn't you? He says, "Yeah, you remember that?" I says, "Yeah, I remember that letter." And I said it in one of my speeches at Windsor Elementary. It says, Because of you, Coach G, I graduated from high school. And I was the first family member to graduate from high school. And I voted for you, Coach. I voted for you. And I thought, well, you know what? That's what that's all about. Touching the hearts and minds of young people and getting into they can be somebody. And of course, that's what I've tried to do on the campaign trail. That's one of many stories. I was following down when the guy on the register, he interviewed me walking around the farmer's market. He did a great job. That guy did great journalism, that noble kid. And he introduced me. He introduced to this woman here, and she said, "This is the kind of guy that we need. He speaks the truth. Republican Party they don't speak the truth anymore. What do they stand for?" And I said, "You're absolutely right. What do we stand for? The Republican Party. We've lost our way."
Yeah, I had this very same conversation with two very staunch conservative political operatives today at lunch. And the one said, I was talking about, how the Democrats, they've kind of hijacked our message and everything else. And this political operative came right out and said, I disagree. I don't think they've hijacked us. He says, the problem is we're not good at articulating what we need to articulate. And again, you brought up a subject that you and I have talked about quite a bit. Republicans, you get up there and you start listening to them, hear all about gay marriage and abortion. You don't hear a word about jobs or the economy. And really, that's what it boils down to. If your economy is good, you have less abortions, right? And that's my issue. And of course, it's one of these things where, when you have somebody like Joe who's open and honest and talks from the heart, the political machines really can't tolerate that. I mean, if you look at Joni Ernst, who ran a great campaign, she hardly said anything. She came out with a couple of cute commercials that motivated her base. But the bottom line is she towed the party line, didn't say anything out of the ordinary, tried to avoid controversy, and off you go. So, I mean, yeah. So, Joe, at least Joe's not afraid to take on controversial subjects.
And I have taken all that. When I was at the KCCI debate, they gave me the controversial ones.
Yes.
Of course, but that's okay, because of the fact that who I am and what I was all about, and I did the best job I can. And of course, I thought everybody said I did a good job. Could have done better, of course, but I'm up against 5 other people that are high-profile candidates. They're public insiders, and I'm the outsider. And so I just do what you can, and with who I am. And so so and the campaign march is on. We got the 21st is 10 days away, and we. Anything can happen. That's why they call it upsets in sports. Who took the Mets in '69? Who took
Hey, I'm a Cubs fan here, Joe. Let's leave 1969 out of it.
Who took the Americans to beat the Russians in the hockey? Nobody.
That's right.
No. Who picked Connecticut?
I have a question for my brother. He wants to know if you were around long enough to know Tom Hand.
Yeah, I know Tom, man.
It was our neighbor and coached and taught at East High.
Absolutely. And his daughter was Barbara Hand, and she was a principal in the district at Callahan. And Tom he ran the Ashworth swimming pool for years in the summertime, and he was a great man. And the Hand family they're great people. I sure do.
All right. So, well, we're going to, I've had this problem all day long. Can't even talk. We're going to wish you, Joe, good luck on the convention. We want to thank you for stopping by
Thank
today.
you for asking me again. You should have asked me every week. Maybe I would have won the election.
You might have. Why didn't we think of that?
You could have brought me in every week, and hell, I could have been able to get in there.
If we have that much juice, then what we're going to do when Joe wins the convention is bring Joe in for the first half hour and Stacey Apple for the second half hour.
There you go, and be done with it. If Stacey will come on, which brings up one of the things I want to talk about this show. Why don't liberals go on conservative shows? Conservatives go on liberal shows all the time.
I just said that to him.
If this is a conservative show, I might have to get up and leave.
No. Is that it? Well, but you know what I'm talking about.
I thought this is politics from both sides of the fence.
It is, but because you're a different kind of liberal. You're that zebra with the red stripe instead of black.
Well,
that's all I got to say.
The red stripe is my socialist underpinnings. I mean,
yes, that's true. That's true.
I would have us all in breadlines watching old 1980s style TV.
Oh, absolutely.
If I had my way.
All right. So we want to thank Joe for showing up, talking with us today. Good luck to you. Anything you want to say to our listeners before you head out?
Well, it's just been an honor to run for Congress. Little old Joe Grandanette, born and raised here in Des Moines, Iowa. I was a candidate for Congress, and you know what? I'm honored I would be honored and humbled to be your congressman for the House District 3 and all of the state of Iowa and all the United States of America, because we just need to change the direction of our country and get this economy rolling and solve the social issues that we need to solve, and go to Washington. Like I've said before, I'm not going to Washington to make friends. I'm going to Washington to do a job. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Joe, for showing up. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back right after this break. Please stay tuned. Take a listen to our sponsors. Don't forget to visit us at docandlefty.com. I'll have a new blog up this week. I think Lefty will too. Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Bing, and I think LinkedIn. Have you done LinkedIn?
I probably. All that stuff.
All that stuff. We'll be back right after this break.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program, or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around that first half hour. We had a candidate for the 3rd House District, Joe Grandanette, here getting ready for his convention. Participation in about 11 days. I think he said June 21st. Of course, he was in I believe, a 6-way race where nobody got the required 35% to have the outright victory and face Stacey Apple in the general election. So our friend, I guess we got to call him, he's a super friend of the show now because this is the second time he's been on.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Friend of the show. He gets friend of the show on his second time. That's the ranking that I arbitrarily have enforced since day one. And by arbitrarily, I mean not consistently.
Completely arbitrarily.
Not consistently, and with a lot of loose talk of friends of the show.
You know, if you want to sponsor our show, you automatically become a super duper friend of the show.
We love you more than our own.
Mothers.
I love you more than him. That's what I would say. So, Pat, I know that you got a couple of things that you wanted to talk about here in the second half hour, and I'm going to be a gracious person and let you bring those in.
All right. Well, first of all, I think I just screwed something up here. I was trying to do the math. But basically, you have two people in the GOP race that spent somewhere around $230 per vote for the primary. All right. And you look at Brad Zahn, he got 7,600 votes, something like that. And he spent just a hair over 100,000. And these other two people combined got about 12,000 votes for $600,000. That works out to about $230,000 or $230 per vote. And I sit there and I think, you know, here's a guy like Joe. And don't get me wrong, he came in last. I didn't want to say it while he was here because he really is a good guy, nice guy. But he came in last, generated somewhere around, he generated, I think, 1,200 votes, something like that. Got 2%, I think, right? And the guy didn't even spend $5,000. He might have spent $500 with the paint and boards, and the rest of it was all hustle. And I sit there and I think to myself, here's a guy who got 1,200 votes for $500. So his votes cost him 50 cents a vote.
Pretty much.
And he's still in the convention, you know, unbelievably. And I sit there and I think, you know, what honestly, what's wrong with our system? You know, we now have the Supreme Court who said, you know, there's no more limits on what you can spend or what you can donate in an election. Terrific. And corporations are people too. Now, don't get me wrong. I like corporations. I do. I think we ought to lower their taxes. I think that they're great for our economy. I think they hire a lot of people. They keep the products that we want in front of us. They keep us fed. Don't quite think they're people. I think if you're able to vote, that makes you a person, right? But if you're an entity, I can see you have the rights of people, but I don't think you should be given the rights to vote to make sure, to influence politics like this. Because, and I understand, Joni Ernst ran a smart campaign. She kept herself distant. She didn't come on any shows. I mean, she really took a page right out of the Democrats. Don't go on any shows unless you absolutely have to, or unless they're extremely friendly to your position, and collect as much money as you can from every big donor you can. I don't think that's the way we ought to run politics. Now, unfortunately, that's what you have to do to win. That's the truth. I mean, Jack Hatch is doing it. Stacey Apple's taking a ton of money. Bruce Braley's raising money from out of state. That's what got him in trouble down in Texas.
Yep.
I just don't think that's the way things ought to work. I mean, what do you think? Is that something we can agree on, or do you have a different take on that?
Oh, I think that money in politics is a problem. I don't think there's ever been any real. I mean, both sides say that all the time. Corporations as people, that whole that line in and of itself is a reductive line. It's oversimplified. It all goes back. I won't bore anybody with a history lesson, but it all goes back to a Supreme Court case from the 19th century that was sort of defining corporations in a particular way, partly because in the old days, a corporation needed a government charter to be able to operate in any state that it was in. That was something we inherited from the English, where every company that the English had to have some sort of government sanction. And in the old days, corporations being set up had to explicitly apply for and receive a government charter to be able to operate. And in their articles of incorporation, they talked about that. So there was some of those issues were brought up in this court case back in the 19th century. One of the reasons why a fictional legal entity was given some kind of personhood identification. But boy, I don't think anybody at the time contemplated that we would ever see a day where corporations were given this much power over the vote, and also where we'd have a sole, like a family-owned corporation. It's not a sole proprietorship. It's a corporation owned that's not publicly traded, trying to win a religious battle in the Supreme Court, saying that corporations not only have the right to contribute to candidates for office, but they also have certain inherent religious rights as people as well. I don't think anybody. I can make the argument that those are both bad policy from a political level, but I don't think anybody that was making those arguments to recognize the legal entity of a corporation as a person would have contemplated, though, that would be the extent that we would push it to here 150 years later. So I mean, to answer your question, it is troubling, but I as a First Amendment kind of guy, and I know that you are too, you can't escape the fact that money kind of is speech, or at least gives you a better microphone.
And that's absolutely true. I'm a free speech supporter. You need to say whatever you need to say. Now, we're going to take another quick break here. We need to talk about a little bit about Des Moines Anesthesia PC.
Yeah.
They're sponsoring us too, and they're super duper friends of the show, and we love you.
We do.
There's their number, 263-5316. It's Des Moines Anesthesia PC. They do all kinds of work, and in fact, I just referred one of my patients who was having some trouble with his back up here, so that they can do some of these special procedures. They have one really cool procedure where if you have disc narrowing in your spine, they can inject, and it is surgical. Technically, it's surgery, but they don't cut you open. They use a needle and they implant this cement-like gel around your spine that expands it back out to where it's supposed to be. And honest to goodness, I have seen these people get up, wheeled in off the street, prepped. The procedure takes about 5 minutes per level. They get up and walk out 2 hours later. Walk out. They need some time for recovery, have it solidify, and walk out. It's just absolutely amazing. I also want to thank Lubinas Law Firm for supporting the show, as well as Halo Capital, and of course my own outfit, BertrosianAssociates.com. Don't forget to tune in to Doc and Lefty, because Lefty has a fairly good blog out there. And of course, it's filled with all kinds of left-wing drivel that I don't want to read, but it's still pretty good. and this week I'll be coming up with a blog. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And of course, want to thank Frank, our ever-present producer, who I think has rarely missed he missed one time last year because he went on vacation somewhere.
And he told us about it.
Yeah, and he told us about it.
And he had somebody to sub.
And he had somebody to sub, so he's absolutely wonderful. Can't say enough good things about him. Want to say that out on the air. And then, of course, this is going to be out on the internet, so it's going to be forever, Frank.
On YouTube, that's right.
On YouTube, yeah. Go, because I keep forgetting about our YouTube channel. Anyway, one of the things I would like to talk a little bit about, why don't liberals go on conservative shows? Do you have any idea why that is?
I don't know.
Because you've even asked liberals. And if I'm a conservative, they go, I'm not going on that show. We even had Jack Hatch. Remember, he was right here with Ed's show. I didn't even say he was going to give Ed a ride home. I said, hey, Ed. I said, you only take 20 minutes to come back. I said, Jack, just give us one segment. Ed even said, yeah, Pat's the doc over here is pretty harmless. He just wants you on the show. And here you are, Lefty, and, Jack said, nope, not going to come.
Well, a part of it, I don't know if we can cast too many aspersions on Democratic candidates, because I don't have the same kind of juice that you do. Nobody knows who I am.
Well, but
on the liberal side.
Well, but that still shouldn't matter. I mean, if you're not afraid, this is the one thing that several people have said, and the first time I remember anybody saying it was Chuck Grassley. Don't be afraid of your constituency. Go out, talk to them, listen to them, take their concerns, and have an answer for them.
Well, right, but
you don't need to have the right answer. You just need to have an answer.
I would expect, though, that if we were to reach out to Chuck Grassley, he wouldn't come on the show.
Well, he might. You never know.
You never know.
But,
that's my point.
Well, but here's the thing.
I also don't bug these people.
Well, the other thing is Chuck doesn't go on anything but national TV. He doesn't go on Dace or Michelson.
No.
So,
no.
I mean,
no, he does not.
No, he doesn't go on Dace. He doesn't go on Michelson.
I don't know that
Conway.
we were in that Dace Michelson category, though.
And the truth is we're not. But we should be able to get, people running for stuff in. We had Mary Mosman in.
Yep.
I mean, holy cow, she's the auditor for crying out loud.
And probably will be again.
Yeah, I haven't asked her to come back. That's what I ought to do. Ask her if she wants to come back on the show, because she was wonderful. She was one of the people that had one of her biggest audience responses. So I'm not quite sure why the liberals don't show up, because I will ask them. And I'll say, hey, listen, come on in. I said, I won't even ask you questions. My partner, the left winger, will ask you the questions. I'll just stay out of it. I'll moderate it. I'll give you a call. But I go up and I talk to these conservatives, and Dennis Guth doesn't know me from Adam. Mm-hmm. And I just call him up and say, hey, Dennis, we're glad to have you on to tell your story. Okay, I'll come on. Are you going to rip me apart? That's not our style. If you want us to, we can. And he said, no, I don't want you to, but, come on, and I'll answer the questions best I can. The guy doesn't know us from anything.
Well, and
neither did Tom. Tom didn't know me from anybody.
No, but I would submit to you that might be a portion, and this is not necessarily a critique of the Republicans, but this might be a portion of the answer as to why we seem to have one side in American politics that is on point, almost fairly consistently all the time, very rarely rattled by things, has an answer for everything, which is good skill for a politician to have, and the other side that seems like a disorganized mess, because the Democrats don't do this kind of stuff necessarily unless they're going on. I mean, they'll do the Fox News thing, they'll do the MSNBC thing, but we're not talking about them. You got to do that stuff because that's national. Those are national outfits, but they don't do a lot of this stuff unless it's Iowa Public Radio or Meet the
Iowa Press,
yep. Or register things or whatever, just because for audience things, but also gives them a chance to have a fairly consistent message. We got a lot of we had a lot of Republicans that come on the show. They all have vastly different messages, all have vastly different points of view, and that I think is a piece of what's hurting, especially in Iowa, the Republican Party, because as I've long argued, there is some kind of schizophrenia in the Republican Party that is preventing it from having a uniform message and coalesce around a particular candidate to deliver it.
Absolutely, and I agree 100%.
So this might be a symptom of that. You have Democrats that don't want to take the risk of getting off message, and that's been serving them well since 2006.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about right after this break coming up, Eric Cantor, who is Boehner's second right-hand man. He's
the majority whip.
The majority whip. Just lost his seat to a guy named Bratt. And not just by a little bit. With 72% of precincts reporting, Cantor's got 43%, and Bratt has got 63%. So that's a 20-point swing. AP declared for him, CNN declared for him, and I can't see what the other one is because my glasses aren't strong enough.
ABC just has it 6 minutes ago. Cantor defeated in primary.
Yeah, so they're all calling it. And here is the second most powerful person in the nation, basically. I mean, you got President Obama, arguably the most powerful person. But second, there's the House Speaker and the House Speaker's right-hand man in case anything happens. He just got beat.
Same.
And not just beat like a red-headed stepchild. Beat like a stray dog. I mean, this guy got pounded 20 points in his own home state by a Tea Party-backed candidate. That is telling you that the grassroots Republicans are sick and tired of establishment Republicans.
And what happens now?
Well,
the Tea Party doesn't do very well in national elections.
No, they don't. And hopefully you won't pull a Todd Aiken, all right? Because we've discussed Todd Aiken several times and shot himself in the foot. And the gal in Arizona that had Harry Reid beat.
Yep.
Had him beat. All he had to do is shut up. And didn't.
Yeah.
And
we're going to trade chickens for health care.
Yes. There you go. And
don't give them locker board material. Chickens for checkups is stupid, but it's effective.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully that won't happen here. Now, one of the things that everybody complains about, including Steve Deace, well, geez, we have establishment candidates. We hate that. And he has a whole cabal of people following him around saying, we hate establishment candidates. And in the same breath, and in the same day on Facebook, Steve Deace will complain about, well, we need to have a person that, is a gifted orator that won't give up that won't pull a Todd Aiken. Well, you can't have both. Establishment candidates are polished.
Yep.
That's why they're establishment candidates.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. They've done this for a bit. So you take some raw guy out of the weeds and he wins, and he's not establishment. He's not going to listen to the establishment people. He's going to go, hey, I got here on my own on the strength of the Tea Party. I'm going to keep going. And that doesn't play in national politics. You know that as well as I do.
I do.
We're going to be back right after the break. We're going to discuss a little bit more about the disarray of the Republican Party. And then I want Lefty's opinion on what's going on with Bo Bergdahl. We're going to have Benji call in since he's a Air Force graduate. He wanted to call in on that.
Oh.
So I'm going to give him a quick text. Hopefully he'll be able to call in. We'll be back right after the break. Thanks for listening, Doc and Lefty. Please catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Bing, all kinds of social media, and docandlefty.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be back after the break.
On the whole, I think Washington, D.C. is a terrible place. It's hot, it's humid, kind of smells, and it's totally lacking individuals who know how to create jobs and live within their means. Hi, I'm Brad Zahn, and I approve this message. And I'm running for Congress because we owe it to future Iowans to fix the mess that was created in Washington, D.C. I've had real experience creating jobs, cutting taxes, and balancing budgets while mayor and in the state senate. If you trust me to represent you, I promise I'll go to Washington, D.C. and do the right thing, and come home every Sunday to spend time with my wife, my kids, and my neighbors here in Iowa. We cannot leave this country in worse shape than we found it. I will not pass this debt on to my children or yours. I will go to Washington, D.C. and tell them enough is enough. Standing together is the only way we're going to get Washington, D.C. to listen, and I hope you'll join me in this fight.
Brad Zahn for United States Congress.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We've got a few minutes left here of the hour. right before we went to the break, Doc wanted to get my opinion on the Bo Bergdahl thing. Of course, that's the latest.
Yeah. Let me finish up a little bit about.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
About the Republicans. I'm going to tell you this. This is my prediction. Monty Shaw is supposedly the establishment candidate, and I believe that he's got a very good shot at winning the convention. Now, there's a lot of different variables. If Brad Zahn wins, I think he's got a great shot at winning. If Monty Shaw wins, I think Stacey Apple is the third congressional candidate. Here's the reason why. He's going to alienate a lot of base conservatives that really are voting anti-establishment. So I think, you get a guy like Joe Grandanette winning, I think he's got a great chance of winning. I think Robert Kramer's got a great chance of winning. But when you have Monty Shaw, who just had a FEC complaint filed against him for accepting contributions too large, he has to answer to that. They're going to smear him with that. Matt Schultz, we've talked about how he shot himself in the foot. Now, Bo Bergdahl, we're going to get to Bo Bergdahl. Don't get me wrong, guy's a soldier, volunteered for the service. According to what everybody has said, he walked away from his post looking for the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda or whatever he was looking for, got captured. In the hunt to find him, 6 U.S. servicemen died in the hunt due to these ambushes that they set up. We then traded 5 of the most dangerous terrorists whose only goal is to kill Americans and to wipe out America off the face of the planet using whatever means necessary. That's who we traded for Bo Bergdahl. Now, I don't think we should have made that trade. The other thing that keeps brought up is Reagan traded arms for hostages. 1, those hostages were civilians, and 2, we didn't turn loose, horror on the rest of the world, right? We didn't do that.
No, we just funded the Contras that unleashed horror on Central America. Anyway, I think we got Benji. Okay. Benji, are you on the air?
I am on the air. How are you, gentlemen?
We are doing really well. I've got a particular line on this, but Benji, I really wanted to hear what you had to say about this whole thing.
So,
and we should sorry, Benji, we should let everybody know that Benji is an Air Force veteran himself and served how many tours?
Actually, I did not go into live combat.
Okay.
So,
but you're an officer in the Air Force for many years. You've got a perspective on this, Benji. Go ahead.
Absolutely, and my perspective is the fact that there were brothers and sisters in arms that lost their lives in search for him. First of all, and there are countless people that are saying that he deserted his post, which is an all-voluntary force. The way he went about it, the only thing I'm asking for is that the UCMJ, and I'm asking all the way up to the top, the commander-in-chief, honor the UCMJ, which is bigger than one political party, which is bigger than one administration. Honor the UCMJ and file an Article 32 so that everyone is under oath to find this person guilty that he deserted. And the punishment for desertion is death or life imprisonment. And this is beyond politics. And what sickens me is that you have people mostly, or actually all of them, on the left that are trying to protect one guy from a horrible command decision. And that's Barack Obama. He made a horrible command decision.
So what do you think about utilizing the Uniform Military Justice Code to round up all of his platoon mates and have them testify about what happened that night? Because if he is a deserter, then obviously a court-martial's due, and particularly if deaths resulted from his desertion, which appears it happened, that's a death sentence kind of thing. What's your opinion on that?
That is exactly what I think it is. And the fact is that being an all voluntary force, he chose to desert his post. And I am a believer of the UCMJ. Get them all under oath, and you will find that this person is guilty. There's too much intelligence that is speaking to the fact that he deserted his post, which is punishable by death. And so that's what I think that should happen. The political ramifications behind it that's going to happen, it is what it is. And as a commander, you know what? He made the call. He basically said he doesn't regret it. you know what? As a military person, when I wore the uniform and our commander-in-chief made a call, when you're wearing the uniform, the best thing that you could do is you get behind that lawful order and you do your best to see that it's executed, and that is a lawful order. And he made a call. It's a bad call, but he made a call. And I think that 100% of his, and I'm talking about President Obama, 100% of his decisions from a military perspective are all backed up with politics. It's not right or wrong. It's all political, and that's what's really this is far from over. But I am of support. First of all, we are Americans. Give this guy his just due in court, which is the UCMJ, and all facts will point to the fact that he deserted his post. And not only that, men died searching for him, and that therefore is punishable by death.
Well,
and I say, so be it.
Well, this is where I'm going to step in here, because I hear you saying a couple of different things here. If you think that he deserves due process, but you think the call to get him here was wrong, then how would you have gotten him here to face his due process? Because one of the things, and I'll just one of the things that really bothers me about the right's response to this whole thing is when Republicans are at their best, they are preaching fiscal sanity. Well, their version of it, they are making sure that our traditions at least have the respect that they're due, and they are hearkening, and making us make sure that we pay our future forward to the next generations. When they're at their worst, Benji, Republicans are, I'm going to say it, they are reactionary, sanctimonious hypocrites. And I think that a lot of Republican politicians have been reactionary, sanctimonious hypocrites about this whole thing. You had John McCain back in 2009 to 2011, I think 2011, saying, after the report that said that he left his post deliberately came out, John McCain saying, yeah, we should probably send these 5 guys back to Qatar to get Bo Bergdahl back. I would be in support of that. You've had Republican politicians lining up behind this whole thing, praising the decision for about a day before they came back out and said, no, we're not going to praise it. So that's the politics of it. The part of it that you said that I agree with is, okay, we don't know if he deserted. That's a legal term. Desertion requires a finding of intent. We have no idea yet. Right. But the alternative that you're hearing from a lot of folks on the right is, we should have left him there. We should have never have gotten him in the first place. So so what these Republicans are saying is, we're willing to outsource American justice to the Taliban. I don't think either one of us agree with that, Benji.
No, I think we're on the same page.
You have about 30 seconds, Benj.
Okay, well, here's the problem that I'm having with what you're saying is, it's you're at a political level. I'm at a military level. I think the call that the commander-in-chief made as a civilian now was a horrible call. It was a horrible call.
So what was the alternative?
Say again?
What was the alternative?
What's the alternative?
What should he have done?
There's the fog and friction of war, Lefty. In the fog and friction of war, guess what? People die. He was not a prisoner of war. He deserted on his own decision. He deserted.
We don't know that, though. There's been no finding of that.
Okay.
Well, all right. Benji, I appreciate you calling in, but we got to cut the show off here. That's Benji Cunningham, U.S. Air Force officer who's retired, weighing in on that. We want to thank you, Benji, for calling in. Feel free to call in anytime.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. All right. Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Now, I will tell you, I'm just going to weigh in my opinion right here at the end. Yeah, I think we should have gotten Bo Bergdahl back. No, I don't think we should have traded him for the Taliban. There's a lot of reasons why. Namely, when you join the military, you understand that you may be captured and held and used as a pawn. And knowing that, I believe we should get everybody back. I do. But like my old government teacher, Don Harms, said as we were arguing about how to get our POWs back from Vietnam, because that's how old I am, he said, are you going to start an entire another war to get back these few men? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. And the problem is we just released people that are going to wage war on us and our allies for this one man. And don't get me wrong, I feel badly for the Bergdahl family.
Who are receiving threats now.
Who are receiving threats. I don't think that should be happening. I just don't, But the bottom line is, we have a way of being able to take care of this. It's not like we didn't know where he was. We could have made a deal long before now.
We tried. That's the other piece of this. We tried 3 times.
And the thing is what they did, what the Taliban did, is what we should have done, which is, either you do what we want or screw you. And, the problem is the weakening. Well, that'll be the issue for next week. Anyway, that's my opinion. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I want to thank Benji for calling in. I want to thank Joe Grandanette for coming on the show. Yeah, guys ought to go check him out. Give him a call. He's easy to get a hold of. If you, I just forgot his number. Rats. Anyway, Joe Grandanette, you can find him. You can check him out. I think he has a Facebook. We'll be back next week, the same bat time, same bat channel. And
absolutely.
Yes, that's a infringement of some kind.
Bringing you the perspectives you love from the sides you hate.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both.